books. We all read them, if we can. And that not only applies to those of you that may or may not know how to read, but also to those of you who live in environments or in neighborhoods or in school districts where banning books is a common everyday thing. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. If this isn't a welcome back and this is actually your first time stumbling onto my little corner of the internet, let me introduce myself. My name's Chris. I know how to read. Allegedly. Now, as some of you may know, I love books. Thank you. Thank you. I also live in Florida. And we do this really cool, really awesome thing in Florida where we led the United States in the 2022-2023 school year in amount of books banned. That's awesome. In a 2023 Orlando Sentinel article, PEN America found that there were 1,406 book bans in all of the separate Florida school districts. Now, it might not be super difficult to guess that Texas was actually number 2 in amount of book bans across the entire state. Guess how many books Texas banned? Just come on, give it a little guess. It's not that. 625. They banned 625 books in yeehaw, everything's bigger over here, trading Luca, Texas. Less than half is crazy. A quote right here real quick: the toll of the book banning movement is getting worse. More kids are losing access to books, more libraries are taking authors off the shelves, and opponents of free expression are pushing harder than ever to exert their power over students as a whole, said Suzanne Nossel, Chief Executive Officer, CEO of PEN America. PEN America, by the way, is a nonprofit with the mission to, quote, unite writers and their allies to celebrate creative expression and defend the liberties that make it possible, according to the About section on their website. I know. I did very extensive research for this video. Big shout out to Princess Weeks and everybody over at the Story channel. They have a really cool, like 14 or 15 minute video on the history of banned books. So if you want kind of more of a deep dive on the history of the subject, I highly recommend their video. It was awesome. In that video, they talk about how book bans and even book burnings in like the way back come about as a response to the outcries or the fury of a group of people with the time, money, or power to kind of institute a book ban or a book burn, with 3 of the major historical reasons for book bans or book burns being religion, morality, and or politics. And that still rings incredibly true to this day. The reason I say that is because in Florida, one of the major bills that has led to kind of this book banning frenzy in the past few years is House Bill 1069. Not nice. And Not Nice Bill 1069 does a whole bunch of I have it right here. It defines sex for Florida Early Learning 20 Education Code.
Provides requirements relating to titles and pronouns. Revises provisions relating to instruction and materials for specified instruction relating to reproductive health. Provides additional requirements for instruction regarding human sexuality. Provides district school boards are responsible for materials used in classroom libraries.
I'll have a link in the description down below that has all the sources used for this video, but specifically this bill on the Florida Senate website, and you can see like how it was made, how long it took to make, all of like the amendments and stuff like that that went through getting this bill passed. But to put it simply, this House bill is very all-encompassing, but it's very focused on sex and kind of gender terminology and ideology. Republican governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, said, quote, in Florida, pornographic and inappropriate materials that have been snuck into our classrooms and libraries to sexualize our students violate our state education standards. Now, removing every ounce of context from that statement, right? Who is saying it, why they're saying it, why they are saying what they're saying, like removing all of that. If there is, let me make sure I get this right. If there is pornographic and inappropriate materials in a first grade classroom, yeah, of course, get it out of there. I don't think anybody is going to disagree with the very basis of that statement. But currently, there is a decent amount of knowledge and information and materials, maybe some quotes, maybe some statistics here and there, that kind of lead us to this idea that pornography and inappropriate material might not be the only reason a majority of these books are being banned. Now, back to PEN America. They released an updated version of the report that I mentioned earlier in November 1st, 2024, where they talked about kind of what they have learned in tracking book bans for the past 3 years, essentially. I regret to inform you that Florida still holds the gold medal. They are the Michael Phelps of banning books, with over 4,500 book bans across the state, tripling, more than tripling, what it was literally just just 2 or 3 years ago. In this updated article, they found that when discussing books banned in 2 or more school districts in the United States, a total of 1,091 unique books, they found that 44% of them feature people of color or characters of color, 39% of them feature LGBTQIA plus characters, and 60% of them are written for a young adult audience. They go on to say that 59% of them talk about death, 38% of them talk about mental health, and 37% of them have wholesome messaging about empowerment and self-esteem. So while a primarily Republican government, whether that's in Florida specifically or in the United States as a whole, is telling their constituents, hey, this is the reason why we're having so many more strenuous guidelines, so many House bills in our governments to kind of make banning books easier or increasing the amount of book bans, it's because we're worried that these liberal snowflakes are trying to sex up our kids. I'm not buying that. Like, I don't accept that reason. PEN America says right here, this broad campaign uses falsehoods, fear, and hatred to dehumanize, dismiss, and diminish important voices in the public sphere, and these efforts are reshaping American public education. For my viewers that aren't from the United States and are unaware of how our government works, we have a Department of Education, and in that Department of Education, our head is Linda McMahon. And if you don't know the McMahon family, Linda was previously married to this like really cool, really awesome, totally not bad, for some reason, ex-CEO of the WWE. I don't really know what happened there. So like, I think our public education system is in very good hands. But maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe my entire ideology on this subject, maybe I don't know enough, maybe I know too much and I'm like biased in some sort of way. But let's talk about the books that are banned and why they are banned. The most banned book in America currently right now is 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult, which is banned in 98 distinct school districts across the United States. I unfortunately have not read this book, but after doing a little bit of research on it, it definitely sounds like the type of book that, one, needs to be read, and two, that I would enjoy. The story talks about bullying, the justice system, peer pressure, and coming of age in a way that makes it incredibly compelling and sadly relatable, whether or not you're one of the over 360,000 students that have experienced gun violence at school since 1999. But that's a completely separate video. And you would think that the primary content of this book, being a school shooting, would make it the reason that this book was banned. But no. The author would like to have a word. Picoult says, quote, 19 Minutes is not banned because it's about a school shooting, but because of a single page that depicts a date rape and uses anatomically correct words for the human body. It is not gratuitous or salacious, and it is not, as some book banners claim, porn. Another wildly popular book that has been banned across America is John Green's Looking for Alaska. I wanted to talk about this book in particular because John Green actually made a video talking about the banning of this book in 2016. So you can check out that video if you want to hear more like in-depth reasoning behind what he thinks about his book being banned. But there were two things he said in that video that kind of caught my eye. One of the things he emphasizes very much so in that video is context, right? Whether it comes to his book, Jodi Picoult's book, or anybody else's, a lot of the time these parents, these like local legislatures are being shown one page incredibly out of context towards the rest of the book, and they are deciding that this one page is representative of the entire novel that they're reading. Whether that 1 or 2 pages or that scene has kind of like a bigger message or a bigger meaning throughout the entirety of the novel doesn't really matter, because these government officials are only being shown that first or second page, completely ridding any context that might give that scene, those few pages, like I said, any value of sort in the grand story. And the main thing that kind of stuck with me after reading about what Jodi Picoult said, after watching John Green's video, is that like, these teenagers are smart. These young adults are not stupid, right? Reading about the mental and emotional aftermath of a school shooting or of a date rape is not going to make our teenagers want to go out and do those things. Like, that's ridiculous. And John Green ends his video by saying that if you have a worldview, if you have a thought process, if you have something that can be undone by reading a book, reading Looking for Alaska or reading 19 Minutes or any other book, if you have a worldview that can be undone by reading a book, book, then the problem isn't really the book. After I finished doing the research for this video, I found out that John Green actually made an updated version of that video because Looking for Alaska continues to be like a top 5 banned book across the United States. So if you want to see both the OG video and his updated video, I would definitely recommend checking both of them out. He's a much better writer than I am. So what's the point of all this, right? Like, what's the point of all the references and all the quotes and all the statistics? Like, what am I trying to say with this video? I want to specify, I want to fully stress, and I cannot stress this enough, I am nowhere near close to having all the answers. But what I will say is I am the son of a teacher and I worked as a paraprofessional for a period of time. So I know for a fact, firsthand, how criminally overworked and underpaid our teachers and media specialists and just education workers are on a regular basis. As much as I believe that parents all over the country should be able to parent their kids however they like, this is one of the situations where we really have to just let the professionals do their job. To bring it back to the beginning of the video, I like books, right? And I also allegedly read them, but I'm not going to pretend like I know more about what it takes to stock a library, that I know more about what it takes to keep one running, that I know more about what it takes to teach children from what books to learn from and what books to not learn from. Like, I just read, maybe. Like, they get paid money to do their job. We have to let them do their job. It's like in basketball, right? Like, I might get mad when a basketball player doesn't get over 6.5 rebounds for my parlay to hit, but I'm not going to pretend in any way, shape, or form that my 5'10" Hispanic knows more about playing basketball than an actual millionaire, almost billionaire, that gets paid a ton of money to be a professional at their job. Like, that's a stupid opinion for me to have. Banning books like 19 Minutes or Looking for Alaska or other books that were in the top 10, I'll put the graphic up right now, Perks of Being a Wallflower, Kite Runner, Handmaid's Tale, it isn't going to have the effect that a lot of parents, a lot of government officials think that it's gonna have. Instead of having these like poignant, heart-wrenching classic pieces of media with incredible storylines and messages that help especially like young adults, young students, build a foundation of better understanding and critical thinking in an environment like a school, middle school, high school, college, that kind of creates topics of discussions for classrooms and teachers and even family members. You have this Republican government, like I said, in Florida, in the United States, that are creating these like empty, vapid, safe spaces that they were crapping on like 2 years ago. And I'm not even saying that the books that are left over, right, the unbanned books, I am not saying that there's nothing to learn from them. Of course there is, right? But when there are certain books being banned and certain books not being banned, it begs a couple of questions, right? Why is this book being banned? Who is banning these books? And if a different government or if a different official or if someone with different religious, moral, or political views was in a position of power, would this book still get banned? That's all I'm saying. I want to thank y'all for watching this video. I know that it's been a minute since I've done kind of like a research heavy talk to the camera video, but these are honestly some of my favorite videos to film and make. I highly recommend that if anything I said at all sounds interesting to you, whether or not you agree with me, to check the sources in the description down below next to the like and subscribe button. Help a brother out because there's a lot of information there. Again, whether you agree with me or not, that's really important, really knowledgeable, and you just get the word out. You know, that's one of the reasons I made this video. I just want to get the word out there. I am nowhere near like an all-knowing official on book bannings or anywhere even near that, but helping people get the word out and kind of starting the discussion, I think, is incredibly important. Like this video if you liked anything at all that I said. If you have an opinion on book bans, again, whether you agree with what I said or not, I would love to hear it in the discussion down below. When I did my 2 Why Men Don't Read videos, one of the best things about those videos was the discussions that were being had in the comments. And I didn't even agree with everybody that left a comment. There were people I agreed with, people I disagreed with, and I'm sure there are points of view in this video that you agreed with or disagreed with. Let's have a discussion in the comments down below. Keep it civil. Keep it civil. But I would love to have some sort of conversation on this topic. I think it's incredibly important, especially when books that I was taught about growing up, a bunch of books that I didn't include in this video: East of Eden by John Steinbeck, Beloved by Toni Morrison, The Color Purple, Catch-22, Brave New World, books that I'm sure many of the people watching this video studied in high school are now being gone like from the typical like teaching curriculum. And a lot of these kids, with how technology and TikTok and blah, 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 I'm 27 years old, phones are bad, like a lot of these books books are not going to be in like the average high schooler, middle schooler's like frame of reference. And personally, I think that's a bad thing. But whether or not you believe that is a bad thing, like the video, leave a comment. And if you like this video or any of the other videos that I have been putting out, something should be popping up or should have already popped up on screen right now. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss whenever I upload a video. I'll catch y'all next time. Thank you for watching. Peace. Don't forget to do something that makes you happy and do something that makes you some money. I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.